Hey guys, we are back for the final week of Joy in Spite of Our Circumstance. I am Josh, the student pastor here at Holiday Hill. You know this crew by now. You got Kinsey, Sam, Steven, Bella. Yeah, we're all here. And so, opening question, icebreaker question. What is your happy place? Happy place. We're going to start with Bella?
We're going to start with me.
We're starting with Bella.
Panda Express.
Panda Express?
No, that was when I was younger. I don't really eat Panda Express anymore. But, hanging out with friends?
Hanging
is that
out
a place?
You made it sound like a question, like hanging out with friends.
Is that a place? That's technically a place.
That could be a happy place, sure. What do you got?
Place?
I-95, no one else on the road with loud music.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Your large
Mine would actually be, my wife and I, we're lame. Like, we have season passes to Disney World, but we've gone so many times. When we go, there's not a ride we really have to ride or attraction we have to see. So my actual favorite thing to do is sitting with my wife on a bench in Disney World in the shade, eating a snack, people watching, and just hanging out with her. That's
so sweet.
I know.
Aww.
I know.
Gross.
I know. It is.
Watch her hat.
But it is. It's my... Esther's happy place probably is all of that minus me. So.
Yeah, her happy place is probably the couch late at night watching First 48.
No, that's also true. That's also true. Esther, if you actually end up watching these, comment below. Steven, what do you got?
Playing D&D with all my friends.
Aww.
I know. Don't you love that, Sam?
Nerd.
Jesus saves, but the rest of you have to roll for damage. So, anyway.
Not Jesus saves, it's half damage.
Half damage. No one else is going to get that.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Kinsey, what do you got? Happy place.
5 Below.
5 Below? Like the store?
Because you're poor. That was...
That was brutal. Okay, one more time after the top. But Kinsey, what's your happy place?
I don't know anymore.
You don't know anymore?
I just said it to get a reaction out of Bella.
Okay.
Oh my God. It's
One more time.
5 Below, actually.
One more time. Mackenzie, what's your happy place?
5 Below.
Like
It's very fun. Everything's there.
Well, it's also under $5.
Exactly. Everything's there. There's
Was that really
candy.
the store?
Yeah.
Yes, it's in the top.
For the longest time, I thought Five Below was like a skiing and climbing store. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you...
Degrees,
yeah, Five Below. I'm like, why would you have, like, a snow store here in the middle of Florida? This is the dumbest thing ever. And then I walked in and realized...
it does have everything, Mackenzie.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
everything under $5.
It's a nice volleyball.
Yeah.
Volleyballs. We got a volleyball there. That was...
So, we wrap up the series, Joy in Spite of Circumstance. We talked about our role. In other words, there are things more important than our own life and death. It's a matter of focus. With respect to where I fit in the grand scheme of the story. It's a matter of attitude. Again, it is with attitude, shifts into focus. And when our perspective, our attitude, and our focus all shift into better places, we can find contentment. Now, there's a verse in Philippians that often gets quoted. And I'm going to read it for you right now. And that is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Question number 1. Have you seen anyone ever quote or claim this verse? And if so, what were the circumstances?
Well, I haven't really seen anyone claim or quote it. I've seen it as a tattoo on people.
You've seen it as a tattoo on people.
I've also seen the tattoo on... I also see it a lot on social media posts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like when someone's having a rough time or something like that.
Okay.
Abby posts it when she's sad.
I think one of the thing was I see often, again, I'm a sports nut, which again, this has been brutal right now. Like no sports. ESPN The Ocho a few weeks ago was like my saving grace, man. It was great. Like I'm literally watching like cornhole championship. That's how desperate I am for this. But in sport, cornhole is pretty fun.
I play cornhole at school.
It is
but
pretty
not
fun.
as like a team sport at lunch.
But the Philippians 4:13 usually gets quoted by a lot of athletes. Usually like when it comes to kicking field goals, scoring touchdowns, hitting home runs, things like that. And that's been my background with the verse. When I usually hear it said or quoted, it's usually in a sports context, something of that nature. And I'm wearing, in the honor of all this, my Context t-shirt. Philippians 4:13, is it really just about hitting home runs and kicking field goals? Why or why not? What do we got?
I mean,
No.
It's entirely about kicking home runs and scoring field goals.
Kicking home runs. Sam doesn't watch sports. If you hadn't figured that out, yeah, Sam does not watch sports. I'm going to read the verses again. Context for those that don't know, if it's a new word to you, here's what it basically means. It's knowing not just what's said, but in the environment of what, when, where, why, and how was it said. In other words, what's happening in a biblical context, what's happening in the verses before, what's happening in the verses after, who's writing it, when are they writing it, why are they writing it. And we've been mentioning this a few times throughout the weeks we've been doing this. This is a guy writing from prison, and he's mistreated. And at face value, it looks like the situation would be relatively, if not entirely, hopeless. There's no happiness in sight. Prison's not fun now, and it wasn't fun back then either. And in the midst of this, he's writing to a church saying how much joy this church brings him, how thinking about them brings him joy. And he's giving them loving encouragement, loving instruction, and basically writing out for them a road map for joy in spite of circumstance. And if you look at the verses that are surrounding this, it says this: I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. Not that I am speaking or have any need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low. I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. The context Paul's talking about is situational. When he's saying I do all things through Christ who gives me strength, he's talking about a situational context. In other words, I've dined with kings, I've dined with royalty, I've dined with nobility, and hey, that was really wonderful. And then there's been times I've eaten a ham sandwich on a cardboard box. Well, he was Jewish. He may have not eaten a ham sandwich. Maybe a turkey sandwich. But you get the idea. A sandwich. I've been eating, sandwich if you have money. Sandwich if you're poor. So, I had a sandwich. Yeah, you get a sandwich. Yeah, he's had a sandwich on a cardboard box. And regardless of the situation, he's perfectly fine. And it's in this context he says, I can do all things through him, through Christ, who gives me strength. Why or how does Christ give us strength in the midst of both good or lousy circumstances? What do we got? How or why does he give us strength in good and lousy circumstances?
And they're drawing blanks.
When you get really sad, he tries to put something really happy in your life.
Yeah, sometimes Christ can bring something happy in the midst of sadness. What else, guys?
Well, I mean, it's one of those, the comfort for a lot of people, as you know. You know, just the statement, God has a plan. And I mean, there's a lot of truth to it, but it's one of those, people don't always want to go along with that plan because it's not always, especially in a lot of people's lives, it's not always just, things getting better and better and better and better and better. Like, even scripturally, it's typically like, all right, this is okay. Now it's terrible, but we're building from there, from the ground up, starting with a new foundation. So how does Christ give us strength in any circumstance? It gives you strength because you know he has a plan for you and you know better things are ahead.
I think when the circumstance is lousy, and I just wrote this down, it's the Monty Python sketch, Bring Out Your Dead, which people have been quoting that right now during Corona COVID-19 quarantines. Like, the Monty Python, the Holy Grail, bring out your dead. And then, he's bringing out this old guy. He's like, dead. I'm not dead. I don't want to go with the cart. Yeah, you do. You're going to die any second now. I'm very much alive. and I wonder if sometimes when we find ourselves in particular circumstances, because again, sometimes we can be good people doing good things, living good lives, and bad things can still happen, which is a great lesson of life, and that is life's not fair. So imagine this, if you will. I think sometimes, if we're being very honest, sometimes we feel that God's put us in a bring out your dead, death cart kind of moment, and we're over here whining, I'm very much alive. No, you're going to go on the cart. I don't want to go on the cart. And it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of focus. It's a matter of, he gives us strength in the good and lousy circumstances. But I think, again, it's all connected. And I'm always a sucker for that. It's all connected. We see in the first week that there are more important things than just life. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of attitude. It's a matter of focus. And it all brings us to a point of contentment. Because we need to stop thinking as people that, again, this idea that God has it out for me, that everything I do or everything he does is working not to my benefit, but to my absolute destruction. And yes, sometimes in our life, we built up things that were good based on our good definition. In other words, I made this thing, I did this thing. But the reality was sometimes maybe God looks at that and goes, you know what? No, that doesn't work. We're going to have to take that away. And we get upset and we get angry. Like, why did this thing get taken away? Why did this go wrong? Again, I don't want to go on the cart. No, this is going to be good for you. It's going to be fine. You're going to be all right. But I don't want to go. We argue and we fight about it. But again, Paul says, I figured out the secret. When things are good, when things are bad, I can do all things. And it comes back down to, again, the hope. In other words, God is writing a story. He's writing a story, and that story is not necessarily about us. We're part of a bigger story. But that bigger story has a good ending. And that's where the hope comes. That's where, in the midst of this, we're looking at just a few months of misery. And let's face it, months of misery sucks. I mean, am I right here?
Yeah.
We love quarantine. No one
loves quarantine.
except maybe weird introverts. Maybe they like it, but for the most part, no one's
Hey,
really.
you're just as sane as I am.
Yeah, I know. But that being said, in the span of eternity, in the span of humanity, in the span of His story, which is His story, it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. And the story doesn't end here. The story of us as people move on. The story of Jesus Christ continues to move on. This is why Paul could say, for me to live as Christ and to die as gain. Because if he's done, the story moves on. This is why Paul can say, don't do things about murmuring and disputing. Because arguing and complaining isn't going to justify or make anything better. This is why he says, follow and imitate people who are worthy of following and imitating. Because your life's going to be so much better with that. And this is why now he says, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. I'm going to focus on Christ. I'm going to focus on what the real picture is. I'm going to focus on what the real focus should be. And in this, though I may be sad, again, we talk about happiness is dependent upon your circumstance. Things are good, life's good. When things are bad, we're sad, we're down, we're angry. It's not the fact that we have emotions that we may write off as negative, like sad or anger or depressed or whatever. That's not the sin. And it's not really a problem. Our emotions tell us that something's wrong. But even in the midst of that, here's the joy. And the joy and the hope are one and the same. Joy is hope, and hope is joy. There's the difference. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. We focus on him. We know that it's going to work out for good. We believe in that, and we hedge our bets, and we go all in on that. And when we do, we'll find joy in spite of our circumstance. Guys, it's been fun. It's been wonderful. Thanks for hanging out with us this month. I know it was a little zany and crazy. It was kind of meant to be. Hope that you learned something. Hope that you maybe somewhat got entertained in the few minutes we did this. I don't know if we'll do this in May yet, because as of taping, we don't know what May holds yet. But seriously, guys, stay safe. Thanks for hanging out with us. And one way or another, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.